Good afternoon everyone, here's the latest video update on Super Typhoon Haiyan or Bagyong Yolanda on this early afternoon Friday, November 8th, 2013. And again, we continue to watch this monster of a cyclone, a very dangerous and catastrophic system, said to be the strongest or one of the strongest cyclones ever to make landfall on Earth in recorded history based on wind speeds and minimum pressure. And we are seeing the system now chugging along the islands of Visayas here in central Philippines. It made landfall earlier this morning as a very strong category 5, and it is now pushing across again the islands of Visayas, weakening slightly but still a very dangerous and powerful category 5 typhoon. This is one of the first visible satellite image from this morning. This was taken about 6:30 a.m. this morning. You can see that eye pushing on the southern edge of the island of Samar. Now remember, we were forecasting a landfall of about 6 a.m. near Giyan, Samar, and that's what we actually saw this morning. So pretty good forecast there in terms of landfall. Again, intensity estimates put it at 195 miles per hour or about 320 kilometers. That's just the sustained winds. Gusts of up to 380 kilometers per hour may have been felt, especially across the northern portions of the eye wall. The strongest winds extended about 30 kilometers away from the eye, so a very tight area of very strong winds. But even areas say 100 kilometers away from that eye may have been hit by typhoon force winds of 120 kilometers or higher. Now that eye made a second landfall out in the island of Leyte, passed just south of Tacloban City, and actually moved over the city of Ormoc out here in Leyte Island, passed on the northern tip of Cebu, moved north of the island of Negros, and has now made landfall in the island of Panay. Actually, you can see here the last location, approximately 25 kilometers south of the city of Rojas, or about 70 kilometers northeast of the city of Iloilo, or about 60 kilometers southeast of Calibo in Aklan. Again, the system is still a very strong category 5 typhoon. Maximum sustained winds 295 kilometers per hour with gusts of up to 360 kilometers per hour according to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Now, Pagasa, using the 10-minute sustained winds, normally has slower wind estimates but still pretty strong from them, 200 kilometers per hour or even higher winds still estimating by the agency. As we've been saying, this system is hauling and pretty fast rate west-northwestward at 35 kilometers per hour. Just this morning it was in Samar. Right now it's already moving into parts of central and eastern parts, western parts of Visayas, and in fact we could see some weather conditions beginning to improve out here in portions of Samar, Leyte, Dinagat Island, Siargao, and parts of northern Mindanao. Obviously now the worst conditions are pushing into again the islands of Panay, the islands of Negros, parts of Romblon and Masbate, also seeing some very strong winds. But as we've been saying before, the core of the maximum winds, the 300 kilometers per hour, that extend only about 20 to 30 kilometers away from the eye. So Rojas City and Calibo could see those winds. Iloilo City, about 80 kilometers away from the eye, may not see that, but still very strong winds of 200 kilometers per hour are still possible in that region. All across the Visayas areas being impacted by strong tropical storm force winds up to typhoon force winds. And also the other main story of this typhoon are the widespread heavy rains already pushing into northern into Luzon, parts of southern Luzon, Bicol region, parts of central Luzon. Already Manila reporting light to moderate rainfall there. And in fact, the system again moving this morning brought as much as 250 millimeters of rainfall out here in Surigao, just as we forecasted last night. Those heavy rainfall will continue to push westward as the system continues to move quickly to that region. Looking at the latest radar image from Climate X. Fortunately, we don't have radar out there in Panay, but this is the closest radar that we have. This is in Tagaytay, and you can see bands of light to moderate rains. Now moving into Bicol region, Mindoro Island, also seeing those light to moderate rains beginning to impact their region, and also that band of light to even heavy rains moving into parts of southern and central Luzon, Batangas, Laguna, Quezon, Rizal, and also parts of Metro Manila. Actually, looking at the zoomed in radar image, you can see those rains moving into Antipolo and parts of Rizal. That will continue to push westward and will eventually impact Metro Manila. As we've been saying before, actually, the airport in Manila already reporting light to moderate rains since about 12 noon. Rains will only get more widespread and will only get heavier as the system push west-northwestward. The strongest winds will not be felt across Metro Manila and Luzon because the eye will be staying mainly far to the south. As for the Panay Island, we're thinking the strongest winds will last through about 5 p.m. this afternoon, and then eventually will make their way towards the southern part of the island of Mindoro and also parts of the northern portions of Palawan, particularly out here in Coron. Thinking about 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is when they'll see those strong winds push into that area. And as we move over the next 2 to 3 days, we have a forecast here from the Japan Meteorological Agency, again moving into the island of Panay and towards the southern part of Mindoro and parts of northern Palawan. And then perhaps by tonight, actually, or early tomorrow morning, Saturday, system should begin to move into the West Philippine Sea and could exit the Philippine area of responsibility by as early as tomorrow evening, moving pretty quickly across the South China Sea, weakening along the way, but could still pose a big threat for parts of Vietnam and Laos, say by early Monday morning. And Joint Typhoon Warning Center also showing that similar forecast track with the Japan Meteorological Agency, again showing that west-northwesterly track towards the West Philippine Sea or the South China Sea, maintaining that strong Category 4, weakening to a Category 3 before it makes landfall into Vietnam, possibly being another round of heavy rains and strong damaging winds. Not as strong as the Philippines, but still, we're talking about 185 to 230 kilometers per hour, still a very serious threat being posed by this system as we move into the early part of next week. But just to recap everything we've mentioned on this video, again, the system continues to move across the parts of islands here in the Visayas, right now moving across Panay. Expect those strong winds to continue through 5 p.m. this afternoon. Eastern Visayas should start to see improving weather conditions beginning tonight and into tomorrow. The eye of Yolanda or Haiyan will then move into southern Mindoro later this afternoon, parts of northern Palawan. Heavy rains will still continue across much of the region. Central and southern Luzon regions will also be impacted later tonight. And by tonight and into tomorrow, we expect that eye of Haiyan or Yolanda to move into the West Philippine Sea, away from the country, and hopefully exit for good by tomorrow evening. And if you have any more questions, comments, or suggestions, just please leave a comment below. Been very helpful throughout, and also our Facebook page, and also at westernpacificweather.com. And if you have images or videos of the aftermath of the storm, please share them with us. Really want those to be included in our video updates so we can share the world what is actually happening in that along the path of that system. Again, we have numerous links down below in our YouTube description on when and how you can share those images and videos. So thanks again for watching. We'll probably have another update tomorrow, so stay safe. See you then. Bye.